Welcome to the College Football X with your hosts, John Nelson and John Wilkerson.
And we're happy you're catching our podcast on Spreaker, Spotify, YouTube, Apple Podcast, iHeartRadio, Castbox, Podcast Addict, whatever you're catching our College Football X podcast. We're glad you're listening. And don't forget about our social media channels. Of course, on X, formerly known as Twitter, on OSG Sports. We're on Facebook, Instagram at OSG Sports, and TikTok up until Sunday when they shut it down.
Then we just go to the next version.
We find another place where we can put our shorts and our podcasts and all our material here on the OSG Sports Network.
Excuse me, what? Put our shorts? Excuse me, sir?
Yes, put our shorts, our video shorts.
Thank you for adding a modifier.
Okay. All right. I'm back at Office HQ in Metro Atlanta. John is left town because he doesn't like the invasion of Irish and Buckeyes coming to our neck of the woods for the weekend.
The boss and I fled is basically what you're saying. He fled.
So I'll man the fort here as college football championship game is in our neck of the woods at Mercedes-Benz Stadium. We know who's playing: Ohio State and Notre Dame.
What?
I've got a feeling, John, that this game should be played not in a pristine carpeted coliseum like Mercedes-Benz Stadium is, but kind of should be like at an old Yankee Stadium or Soldier Field, and the picture should be black and white. Don't you get a feeling two old Midwestern teams?
This is where you need like Harry Doyle. You need Bob Uecker's character to give the minute 20 open and have it at Municipal Stadium in beautiful downtown Cleveland, where 75,000 featherheads are rooting on the Braves of the Cuyahoga or whatever it was. So that's what you're looking for, something like that. You're looking for
exactly.
But you're looking for mud. You're looking for dirt. You're looking for one team that's wearing white jerseys, not the offshoots where somebody's wearing a secondary color and someone gets to wear a non-white color as a visiting team. You want a team. You want a game on grass. You want a game where there is no grass and they've painted over it.
It just feels that way. It feels like Woody Hayes should be on the Ohio State sideline.
Careful what
Eric Parsegian on the other sideline. I get it. But it just kind of
Charlie Bauman might have issues with you.
Yeah, he might have issues, but it just kind of just feels that way. It feels like an old Midwestern slobber knocker type of game, and the score might reflect that. It's just being played in a pristine coliseum with carpeted floors.
DFP title game is a Raider.
You're looking for Facenda.
Want John Facenda to call this one. I get it.
So, but the matchup does intrigue me.
How intriguing is it, sir?
Well, I mean, you got Ohio State as the 8. Sure. I forget what seed Notre Dame was, but
7.
The 7. Okay, so you got an 8-7.
7 and the 8. Yeah. How many of you had that in your pool?
Somebody's getting rich.
I'm calling.
This is equivalent, I would say, to an 11 and a 9 playing for the NCAA men's basketball champion.
Like George Mason and their run and Butler and theirs.
Yeah. It kind of has that feel. Although in this case, you got college football blue bloods, and you can't get much bluer than Notre Dame and Ohio State.
I don't know, but I don't know if they have one to wear blue, sir. I think
neither one. Well, yeah, you got the navy blue with Notre Dame.
Yeah.
But that the matchup intrigues me because I don't think anybody expected Notre Dame to be here at this point. Ohio State, yeah, we expected them to be here, but not on the route that they took. And but man, by the time they got into the playoffs, Ohio State, they've hit another gear or two. And Notre Dame has proved they got some lasting power, even with some of the injury issues. And Ohio State has their own injury issues. But Notre Dame has proven that they've got some players on their team. And here they are in the first year of this expanded playoff, and you got two of the bluest blue buds in college football.
You end up with right now, as things stand, 13-2. You have a 13-2 8 seed and a 14-1 7 seed. So things that you did not have on your bingo card that are attached to all of this. And you look at the offense that Ohio State has and what they have done in this tournament. And then you look at the defense that Notre Dame has brought forward into this tournament. And I think that the dichotomy is interesting. Right now, it's the line started 9.5 to Ohio State. It has as you and I are discussing it, it has shifted a point. It is now 8.5 to Ohio State. Total 45.5. And if you believe in the juice boxes, Notre Dame is a plus 290 when it comes to the ML, the money lines. So not a surprise when you have as electric an offense as Ohio State has shown us come to a situation like this. And everyone is sitting there and going, well, Notre Dame beat a Georgia team that didn't have a starting quarterback, and they clamped down on them defensively, and yada, yada, yada. But what you don't look at in that is that the offensive player of the game accounted for 170 total yards of offense, and it was almost a 50-50 split with Riley Leonard in yards passing and yards rushing. But when neither of those are over 100, that should present a question and an issue for you that you've hopefully had a little bit of time to diagnose. But Ohio State, I think Ohio State wants right now, in this version of Ohio State, I think this version of Ohio State wants to run you out of the building, and they'll be more than happy to do that with what we've seen out of Will Howard these last couple of weeks.
They're getting those guys out in open spaces. But, man, Ohio State has gotten the big play when they need it at critical times. I'm thinking about right before halftime when Quinshon Jenkins took that screen pass and took it the distance. That was after Texas had really captured the momentum heading into the locker room, and it all changed like this. And Brother Marty went from the depths of despair to the highest of highs, and it kept going.
Yeah, the screams that you heard from the southwestern section of the network were Brother Marty yelling at the top of his lungs. Yes, sir.
But Notre Dame has created their own turnovers when they've needed it at critical times. That interception toward the end of the game against Penn State, man, what a key turnover that was that led to the win. I mean, Notre Dame's had a penchant of doing that in this playoff run. So both teams have something that they can look at that has been consistent as far as swinging momentum of the games, which really intrigues me into this matchup. Now, as we offer our opinions, we have our own unusual way of doing it here at OSG. So bear with us.
What?
Think about, to me, as I look at this matchup, and I'm going by team wise. I'm not really going by individual matchups. Sure. But if Notre Dame can exploit the injuries on Ohio State's offensive line, and I gotta think that some of the backups have played well, but still they're second and third teamers for a reason. They've gotten some valuable experience, but that Notre Dame defensive line and front seven is on defense is pretty athletic and pretty fast, and you can get in the backfield. It's that, and Ohio State's success depends on getting those receivers out in open field. And if they can keep doing that and winning the one-on-one battles, do you think things would swing Ohio State's way? That's how I think really close this game is. At other positions, I think it's pretty even on both sides. Again, what is football? It comes down to making the big play at the critical time and getting third down stops. And both teams have somewhat been able to do that. Now, who's going to be able to do it against an opponent in this type of game? And one other thing I want to bring up, you're dealing with 18 to 22-year-old men.
Bite your tongue, sir. They're supposed to know what they're doing from the second that they walk onto the field, the second they walk on campus. It doesn't matter if they're 17 or 18.
In the Super Bowl, you got mature guys out there.
Yes. Well,
now you've got guys in the biggest game of their lives in the spotlight that are not quite mature yet. Something's going to happen that is unusual. That's going to make a huge difference in the game. Some kind of mistake that's not normally made, or some kind of boneheaded play might occur. You got to think of that when you're dealing with kids this age.
And we have seen the random wild play.
Yeah.
And when you have the added pressure of the fourth game in a championship run for both of these teams, then you're looking at playing on the 21st, playing on the 1st, playing on the 10th, playing on the 20th. And so we know welcome to what we've experienced in all the other divisions of college football in the United States, and now welcome to the party. Here's John McClain on top of the Nakatomi building. Welcome to the party, pal. And you have all of this coming together. But to your point, I think that what you may see when Ohio State is on offense going up against the Notre Dame defense, I think that what you may see early on is you may see some comfort throws, for lack of a better word. I think that what you may see,
High percentage throws.
You're going to see some quick stuff. You're going to see some slants. You're going to see some monitoring at the line of scrimmage. And I think that if Will Howard sees if he sees some space between a receiver and a defender, could be a linebacker, could be a defensive back. I mean, look, if I've got a defensive back who's laying off 7 to 10, that's the first place I'm going to look. And what I'm going to do is the second that I get that ball, I'm going to get rid of it. Because what happens when you get rid of the ball quickly? Those young offensive linemen that are not used to being in these starting positions going up against a very stout defense, they've had one less play that they've had to worry about pressure getting to their quarterback. And so I'm thinking some high percentage throws, some quick stuff, some stuff out into the flats, all of these things early on that I think will try to get Ohio State with all of these new pieces into something of a rhythm. I think that you'll see Quinshon Judkins. He'll be used. I think what you may see them flip their script a little bit where you're passing on running downs, running on passing downs. I think that what you want to try to do is get the Notre Dame defense on their heels a little bit. And there are a couple different ways that you can do it. I will be intrigued on Monday night to see how they approach that up against this defense that has been causing problems in the playoff.
Before we give our prediction of the game, I want to discuss the coaching matchup, because if Ryan Day wins this game, all is forgotten for the Michigan loss for about 6 months until
I was going to say until they get to spring practice, and then everything gets back.
I'd give it to the fall camp.
Yeah.
They'll remind him that 4 in a row. But anyway, he'll get some kind of cushion for that. Marcus Freeman wins this and gets the national championship. He's going to join Rockne, Leahy, Parsegian, and Lou Holtz in that list of national championship coaches. All
That's
did it
fantastic.
the first time.
Mr. Wilkerson.
All did it in their third year. But he is going to probably elevate himself quickly up into the coaching hierarchy. And, I think he's going to be the shiny new toy, the hot commodity of coaching, where a lot of these recruits are going to be and transfer portal guys who are 5 and beyond 5 stars if you're already in college. They're going to get their pick of the litter as far as athletes at every position. He's going to be the guy that everybody is going to want to play for.
Oh, no question. I mean, and once again, we talk about recency bias in a lot of things. And what could be more recent in attracting talent than a national championship in this current environment of NIL?
He's media savvy. I mean, I hate the term players coach, but he's kind of that kind of guy.
And the one thing in this current environment that will keep a national champ or a blue blood from assembling all of the talent that they traditionally get will be their budget. that you're having to think about things in economics now instead
Yeah.
of just bringing in talent and recruiting them. Hey, you get room and board, and you get the chance to win a national championship in college football. Yeah, okay, great. What's in it for me? Well, you get the chance to chase after a diploma and a national championship. But now it is what's in it for me. Ask Carson Beck what's in it for him down hanging out with his SO down at the University of Coral Gables. It's 4 to the left of the decimal place 7 times over. So
Well,
those are the kind of things. Your budget will now be the one thing that will constrict your progress and your consistency in this current environment.
well, you bring up a good point because if Ohio State wins it, whatever winning share they get, they have to distribute it out evenly to all the Big Ten members. Notre Dame wins it, they get to keep it all.
Mm-hmm.
So advantage Notre Dame on the financial aspect of it. All right.
Yeah.
All right. So who do you like in the game? Who's going to win the national championship on Monday?
I think it's going to be Ohio State, but I don't think it's going to be the 8.5. I think the 8.5 is entirely too much. I think that do not be surprised, as for those that are watching the video version, as you see me raise my index finger skyward. Do not be surprised if the line, as you currently see it, as we're discussing, like we said, as we're discussing it, it is 8.5. That line might creep another point, might creep 2 points to get into that 6.5, 7.5 range and cause some havoc with the juice box purveyors and those that wish to take the juice boxes out of their fridge and invest them on the game that's going to happen on Monday night. Do not be surprised because, like we said at the beginning, started at 9.5, down to 8.5. Do not be surprised if, depending on how your juice box purveyors view it, if it sticks at 7.5, I'm thinking that they're looking at Ohio State winning by a touchdown. I'm thinking if it ducks under that 7 and gets to 6.5, that's where you're leaning toward Notre Dame and all of your activity heading in that direction. So keep an eye on the margin right now. Like I said, money line for Notre Dame is at a plus 290. So there's some different ways that you can jump into this, but I think it's going to be somewhere in that 30-24, 7, 20, 28, 24, somewhere in there. I think that your here we go. Your offensive MVP will be Quinshon Judkins for Ohio State University. So that's what
I can see that.
So because of the distraction, because of the availability that he will have offensively, because of all the pressure that they will try to put on, meaning the Notre Dame defense, on Will Howard. So you're going to need outlets. Who's that number one outlet going to be? I think it's going to be the running game and Quinshon Judkins.
Personally, I think the first half, the moment's going to hit these young guys. And I don't see the first half being all that fundamentally great. It might be like a 6-3 type of halftime score.
Under on the first half number, brother.
There's gonna be a lot of tightness going on until maybe somewhere late in the second quarter, maybe some of that goes away.
Because you need your tightness to go away. I agree.
Yeah, when you come out of the locker room at halftime, I think we might start seeing the Ohio States and the Notre Dames that we're used to. I see it more as a lower scoring game than you do. I think that for Notre Dame and Ohio State fans, especially Ohio State fans, they're going to be on all fours in front of the television set, including our brother Marty.
Wait, what?
They're
going to be on all fours in front of the television?
Is tight. It is tied or maybe a field goal lead late in the fourth quarter. They've gone through 3 beers. They're sweating like crazy. The scarlet and gray is starting to look a little wet around the chest and the armpits.
Whoa!
It's going to be that type of game until the fourth quarter clock hits 0, and Ohio State will be the national champion with a 17-14 type of game. Maybe a late field goal, maybe a field goal at the buzzer. Who knows? But this is going to be one of those tight games where Ohio State fans are having to check their heart rate, and they will get it done. And Ryan Day and the Buckeyes will hoist the trophy and bring it back to Columbus.
So has Daisy made her prediction yet?
Daisy's not made her prediction yet. but she has become a cult figure with Buckeye fans.
Well, and
So,
she's getting fan bases mad at her now, man. She's getting hate
including
mail.
Ohio State, who called her a traitor.
I
But
mean,
we'll be doing that tomorrow, and you can see that on our social media channels. So we made our predictions. When we come back, we're going to discuss some of the business end of the college football playoff and some other news and notes from college football as the College Football X continues after this timeout.
The online sports guys would love to hear from you. Go to our X page, formerly known as Twitter, at OSG Sports for a comment, rant, or just whatever is on your mind about college football. Now back to the College Football X. Here's John Wilkerson.
Welcome back to the College Football X. The college football playoff, well, we've already given our predictions.
yeah, go back and
Racing
look
toward its climax. Yes, go back and listen. Let's go back and look at this playoff, kind of big picture while we have a little time here. This whole thing started about a month ago. And it kind of seems like a marathon right now with a lot of downtime in between. And obviously, the college football playoff is experienced what I expected them to experience, and that's scheduling issues because you can't compete against the NFL.
No.
And that happened in the first round, and it was not a pretty picture. So we've come to this conclusion to the college football season with a playoff. Is this going to continue to be an issue as the committee tweaks a little bit and tries to find that happy medium in scheduling this?
Oh no, I think that you will have partners who will understand. Okay, we had some growing pains here, and the National Football League will sit there and go, okay, well, this time of year we've got Saturday and Sunday, so
and playoffs.
So you got to work your dance around us. I think that if college football is smart and our friends at bowl season can work their magic that they do, I think that you could have Fridays. You could have Friday monopolized. You really could. You could have doubleheader on Friday in the opening rounds and work your way through and just dance the bowl games, the other bowl games that are not attached to the CFP, attach them to the picture. Then I think that what you can do once again is you could probably do an early game on Saturday or in the early rounds where the National Football League, they like to do their Saturday doubleheader or Saturday tripleheader or what have you. So if you can have them have a doubleheader, say, on a Saturday, and then maybe a third on a streaming service where folks will have to go fish for it, where the CFP can have a window early on a Saturday that is easily accessible, whether in an over-the-air capacity or something like that. I think that that's probably your middle ground. But I think that the CFP or in the early rounds, I think that it can have Friday night and do a doubleheader and make it their own. I think that is probably the first big step in that. Find a night of the week that you can integrate within your bowl picture, your entire bowl season, and make it yours. And so I think that Friday night is probably in the early rounds of the playoffs, the night that you really can make yours with a 7 and a 10 or a 6:30 and a 10 or something in that vein, where you have an East Coast game and a West Coast game somewhere in there that I think that you can fit it.
Well, the semifinal TV ratings were a little disappointing. The Cotton Bowl between Ohio State and Texas drew a 20.6. That was a Friday night. A Thursday night Orange Bowl between Notre Dame and Penn State got a 17.8. Not necessarily what the College Football Playoff Committee would like to see. I think they were expecting more NFL playoff, Super Bowl type viewership for this. But I'm just wondering, being attached to one network and then subleasing to another network like ESPN did with TNT, and not really explaining that to the public or not really advertising that, kind of hurt that first round. And I'm just wondering if does college football obviously this ESPN has got this. They want to wrap their arms around it. This is their baby. Nobody's going to take it away from them. But is that a way to build this college football playoff? To me, the NFL playoffs, what makes that is that the AFC is going to be on CBS. The NFC is going to be on Fox. Now NBC and Prime and ABC will get
They'll get their piece of
a
the
wild card and maybe a divisional game.
And it has been promoted out the yin yang.
Yes. It's been promoted by those networks, and they get their window, and there's no competition out there for that. And for this, it's on one network that's just distributed out on. I mean, I don't know if it's on ABC or not. Maybe it's just on ESPN.
I think there are some elements of it that were ABC, and you had multicasting for some of the stuff. But still,
to me, why is the college football playoff strictly on cable on ESPN or on their streaming services when it should be on ABC or some other network? Well, that's over the air or on cable, or it's easy to access.
And I think that you hit the larger point is that it comes down to when you have an early round game on TNT Max, whatever, it wasn't promoted to the extent that we have other things promoted on the networks that are this big.
And they will use ESPN's look.
Yeah. And so ESPN got the graphics package, and it is okay. So TNT, you're using Max, you're using the CFP graphics package that we're associating with the 4-letter network. But just it wasn't promoted, I don't think, to the extent that we're used to seeing something promoted that is supposed to be as big as this is.
Yeah.
And I think that's probably lesson number one. If you are going to farm it out to other networks that are not a part of your family, they're not a part of your immediate family, then you've got to promote it, and you've got to bite the bullet and sit there and go, okay, I know you're used to seeing it on our network. It's also going to be over here where, they're great partners with us. We appreciate all that they're doing, they're helping us out with our inventory. They're helping us tell the stories. It's going to be over here. So you got to you've got to sit there and promote the fact that you don't have everything. And I think you're putting your TV ego aside. We don't have everything. It's going to be here. You've got to blow it up. And don't blow it up starting the day that the announcements are made about the 12 teams that are going to be in the tournament. Hey, coming up, it's going to be the opening round of the tournament for the CFP, and it's going to be on our networks, but it's also going to be on our friends here, and here.
Yeah,
so give yourself a runway.
But if it's going to be on TNT, I'm expecting to hear Brian Anderson call the game with insert your analyst here, somebody associated with Turner with their look, and it just wasn't the case, and it was kind of jarring about that. But the secret of the Super Bowl in the NFL playoffs, obviously it's distributed out, but every one of those networks gets a slice of the Super Bowl. And I would like to see that in college football, because I think it'd make the product so much better, and the ratings would probably be what the advertisers want. I would love to see Noah Eagle and Tom Blackledge do the championship game, and then NBC production crew, which I think is fantastic. I'd like to see Nestler and Danielson do one. The guys that have been associated with CBS for so long. And by the way, as we're talking about this, we kind of know what we're talking about, Mr. Nelson and I do.
What?
Because I think you and I have both been in TV production trucks for the last 30 years and steered the ship or been walked in front of it. So we kind of know what we're talking about. So yeah, I'd love to see it kind of spread out a little bit. And I think that would help in the promotion of the event and lead to better ratings.
But once again, if you're the guy that
I know.
If you've got the dinner party at 12 and you've got the long rectangular table, and the waitress, who knows that it's more than a party of 6, gets to jack up the price the extra 20% because of there's more than 6 people at the table, and you're at the end of the table and you're the guy that's going to pick up the check, then you get to determine what's going on.
Yeah, I agree. I see, but again, big picture here.
Oh, I know. I mean, you and I would love to have a little variety. We'd love to have it, we'd love to have it kind of Super Bowlish where you're spreading the wealth a little bit. But at the same time, right now, if you're the guy paying the check, you're the one that's going to sit there and pick who's driving you home if you've had too much to drink at the end of the day.
True. But we'll see what happens. I mean, ESPN does a good job with it, but again, I think I'd love to see it spread out a little further to the other networks and see how they handle it and see how they promote college football. And I think it's best for all parties involved.
Promote it early. Give yourself a long runway. Don't just sit there and go, ooh, Stanley Cup playoffs are around the corner. No. Literally what I would do. Literally what I know. It's the lovely cold that I've had since Christmas that I haven't been able to shake. Literally, you're starting to get into the home stretch of conference play. You need to have your promos up if you're the 4-letter. Hey, CFP is coming up around the corner, literally a month out, 6 weeks out. CFP 12 is coming up around the corner. It's going to be all across the ESPN family of networks, ESPN, ESPN2, ESPN Plus, the U Deportes, and on ABC. And it's going to be with our partners at TNT and Max.
Yeah.
And beat the daylights out of it. Well, give yourself an early runway to start things off and find a night you can make your own in this process. I think that's Friday.
And so as we wind down the college football season, some exciting
Bite
news
your
from us at
tongue,
OSG.
Bite your tongue.
We're going to take a little sabbatical from college football and transition to college basketball as we do our run to March Madness. It's copyrighted, I know, but
come on and watch some basketball.
Exactly. As we talk about the mid-majors and the teams on the bubble in the big conferences, and we'll start that in the next few weeks. Called Under the Radar, and John and I and a cast of thousands will be involved in that one. So look out for that on our social media channels as well, on OSG Sports on X, Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok. And those will be on all of our podcatchers: Spreaker, Spotify, Apple Podcast, iHeartRadio, Castbox, Podcast Addict, and wherever else you pick up the College Football X and the review. Look for Under the Radar, our college basketball podcast. Any final thoughts, John?
Coach K, yeah, Duke really sucks. Yes. So, yeah. So I think the bottom line is right now, once again, keep an eye on your NIL, keep an eye on who's moving where, because we are less than a month away from the traditional National Signing Day.
Yep.
What is the trickle-down effect when it comes to NIL? Where does that leave things when it comes to the folks that are looking for position players, looking for skill players? Keep an eye on that as we get closer and closer to the early part of February. And you think there's going to be less points scored. We both think that Ohio State's going to win. I don't think either of us think the number is going to be covered, but keep an eye on it. If the juice boxers sit there and look at 6.5, 7.5, and they sit there and they take away that extra point or two as we get closer and closer to Monday.
And we'll see Brother Marty celebrating on Tuesday morning as he recovers from a tough game.
He will not be going to work on Tuesday. I think.
No, he won't.
I think he's probably already called in sick.
He probably has. So that's going to do it for this edition of the College Football X. For John Nelson, I'm John Wilkerson. Thank you for joining us. Enjoy the championship game on Monday night, and we'll be back to discuss that and other odds and ends of college football later that week. So enjoy the game. Good night, everyone.
Please like and subscribe and go to theonlinesportsguys.com.